Did I read that correctly?
I am not sure what this has to do with the subject matter of this.
Did you say it?
I do not have those words in front of me. I probably said something along those lines, but
Yeah,
what is the relevance of that to this
Big as
hearing?
Dallas, right there.
Yes.
But your political beliefs don't impact your feelings about President Biden or President Trump.
I don't have feelings about either of them. What I have
Sounds
is
to me like you have your favorite feeling is anger. Let me ask you this. You issued another tweet. This was in May of 2022. You've just been tweeting up a storm. You said, quote, "There's a reason why the conservative-dominated Supreme Court."
Welcome to Liberty Report USA. Let's take a look at what happened in the Senate today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for having to miss the testimony of some of you, and I appreciate you coming today. Professor Franks, let me ask you, I listened to your and Ms. Hemingway's testimony and Professor Turley's, so I got part of it. As I understand it, your position, Professor Franks, is that, I think you used the word myth. It is a myth that the Biden administration used government to compel speech, private speech, but that the Trump administration is doing that. Is that a fair characterization?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Do you think perhaps you're allowing your personal political beliefs to affect your objectivity here?
No, I do not. What is guiding my answers here is that I'm looking to see what the Supreme Court has said. You notice that in the testimony about the censorship industrial complex.
I got that part.
I just
want
to
to
clarify.
No, but I've only got 5 minutes. Your answer is no, I appreciate it. Let me ask you a couple questions. You wrote a law review article in December of 2023 for the New York University Law Review, and it was about the two cases, Bruin, Supreme Court case, and Dobbs. Remember that article?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In this article, you said, I'm going to quote your words, "Taken together, these two cases demonstrate that the Supreme Court has embraced the use of the Constitution as a tool of racial patriarchy," end quote. Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went on to say, quote, "When the Supreme Court declares that there is a constitutional right to armed self-defense in public, it openly embraces and promotes a culture that privileges white men's ability to terrorize and kill those that they perceive as threats," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe so. Thank you for reading.
Okay. And did you also say in that article, I'm going to quote again, quote, "By simultaneously expanding white men's right to kill and constricting women's right not to die, this Supreme Court," referring to the current United States Supreme Court, "has turned the Constitution into a homicide pact as well," close quote. Did you write that?
That sounds like me.
Okay. In November of 2024, you tweet, don't you?
I'm not sure what the current terminology is for it, but yes, I am sometimes on the social platform that was formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, you're on a lot, aren't you?
I'm not sure what the relevance of that is.
You're trying to be provocative on there, don't you?
Again, I'm not sure what the relevance
Well,
of this question
let me
is.
show you the relevance. On November 7th, 2024, from your tweet, here's one of your tweets at 2:41 p.m., quote, "The majority of Americans hate women. The majority of Americans hate women more than they love anything, including democracy," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I am not sure what this has to do with the subject matter of this.
Did you say it?
I do not have those words in front of me. I probably said something along those lines, but what is the relevance of that to this
Big as
hearing?
Dallas, right there.
Yes.
But your political beliefs don't impact your feelings about President Biden or President Trump.
I don't have feelings about either of them. What I have
Sounds
is
to me like you have your favorite feeling is anger. Let me ask you this. You issued another tweet. This was in May of 2022. You've just been tweeting up a storm. You said, quote, "There's a reason why the conservative-dominated Supreme Court thinks the Constitution does not contain a right to an abortion, but is convinced that it contains an individual right to possess firearms. And that reason is white male supremacy," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
Is there a question in this?
Did I read that correctly? That's
Is there
my
a question that is relevant to this hearing?
Did I read that correctly? Do you really think that the United States Supreme Court, you're an officer of the court, is guided by white male supremacy?
I believe, that the First Amendment prohibits the president
Did you
other
say
state
that?
officials for punishing people for
Did
their
you honestly say that, Professor?
I
And you
believe
expect us,
that the First
as a
Amendment-
Democratic witness, to take you seriously? Are you kidding me?
I believe that you should take
You
the First
heard of
Amendment
curb your
seriously, sir.
enthusiasm? Here's my saying, curb my nausea.
I
Thank you.
believe that you
The
should take
time
the First
has expired.
Amendment
Thank
seriously.
you. Senator Durbin.
In the final moments of this hearing, the air in the chamber tightened as Senator John Kennedy leaned forward, pressing Professor Franks with the kind of direct intensity that makes these proceedings impossible to ignore. What began as a routine exchange quickly veered into a confrontation over language, worldview, and the boundaries of professional judgment. Kennedy read her own words back to her, sharply, slowly, each one echoing through the room. Quotes about the Supreme Court, about race, about the meaning of constitutional rights, about the very fabric of American society. And as he pushed harder, asking whether she stood by those statements, whether she believed the court acted out of bias, whether her own political leanings shaped her testimony, the tension rose. Her replies were measured, often evasive, often returning to the same refrain. She did not see the relevance. But the senator kept going, line after line, tweet after tweet, until finally he ended, not with another question, but with a remark so blunt it silenced the room. Curb my nausea. It was a moment that revealed more than a disagreement. It revealed the raw clash between two visions of truth and responsibility. One side arguing that deeply charged commentary is a matter of principle, of academic freedom, of speaking uncomfortable truths. The other arguing that those same statements cross into something that cannot be ignored, especially when spoken by someone entrusted with authority, scholarship, and influence. And when those words are brought forward in a public hearing, under oath, in the heart of the United States Senate, they demand an answer. What we witnessed in those 5 minutes was not simply a senator reading provocative tweets, it was a test of credibility, consistency, and the relationship between personal conviction and public duty. Professor Franks insisted that her political beliefs held no sway over her testimony. Kennedy pointed to her writings and asked the broader question, how can someone speak so forcefully, so categorically, so repeatedly on social platforms, and then insist those positions play no role in their professional analysis of power, speech, and constitutional interpretation? This was more than a disagreement about language. This was about whether those who shape national conversations, scholars, experts, constitutional commentators, should be held to the same standards of clarity and transparency that they demand of others. When Kennedy confronted her with statements about the Supreme Court embracing racial patriarchy, about constitutional rights being tied to white male supremacy, and about the majority of Americans supposedly harboring deep-seated resentment toward women, he wasn't just challenging her phrasing. He was challenging the assumption that such views can be held privately while exercising public authority neutrally. And in these moments, the American people got a rare, unfiltered look at the tension running through our politics today. The gap between the narratives presented in academic or digital spaces and the accountability demanded in the halls of power. On social media, rhetoric often flows freely, with little expectation of scrutiny. But in the Senate, every word carries weight. Every quote becomes a matter of public record. Every assertion must withstand the test of daylight. That conflict between unrestrained discourse and institutional responsibility is now part of our national struggle. Because government is not just policy, it is trust. It is the belief that those who speak for or advise the public do so with honesty and consistency. When someone tasked with analyzing the structure of rights and freedoms describes the Constitution in terms that cast vast portions of the country as morally compromised, questions arise. And when those questions are raised by elected leaders, they must be answered clearly. That is how accountability works. For all the intensity in Senator Kennedy's tone, the deeper message was this: Words matter, claims matter, accusations matter. And when those words come from someone who shapes public understanding of the law, they matter even more. The American public deserves transparency, not evasiveness. They deserve candid explanations, not deflection. They deserve to know whether the experts who testify before Congress carry ideological commitments that might influence how they interpret the rights of millions. This hearing gave us a glimpse of something bigger, a political environment where frustration is rising, where mistrust is growing, where citizens now watch exchanges like this not as abstract debates, but as windows into the forces shaping their daily lives. The confrontation we witnessed today symbolized how deeply divided our interpretations of justice, fairness, and constitutional meaning have become. And yet, it also served as a reminder, in a free society, these disagreements must be confronted openly, not hidden, not softened, not avoided. In the end, the real significance of this moment is not whether Professor Franks stood by her tweets. It is what this clash reveals about the state of discourse in America, a nation wrestling with identity, authority, and the meaning of truth in a digital age. A nation where the lines between scholarship and activism blur, where senators challenge witnesses not only on policy, but on the worldviews they bring into the room. A nation trying, still, to hold together a system built on debate, accountability, and the belief that, even in conflict, transparency strengthens democracy. And as we leave this hearing behind, one thing becomes clear. These moments matter. They shape how America understands itself. They shape how we assess leadership. They shape the trust we place in institutions that must remain strong if the country is to remain strong. If you believe in bringing these exchanges into the light, if you believe the American people deserve to see every question, every answer, every moment of truth, then support the mission to keep this work alive. Subscribe to Liberty Report USA.